Good evening, YouTube subscribers. I wanted to take a moment to say thank you very much for your wonderful comments, your support, and your feedback, and also thank you for sharing the experiences that you've been having with the channeled meditations that Master Kuthumi, the Divine Council of Light, JC, Archangel Michael have been bringing forward to you through me. I want to say thank you for your feedback. It's really important. They asked me again to do a short video to discuss one of the initiatives that we're engaged in right now that's really critical for this time in human history and for humanity and the planet as a whole. It's really important to understand that there is the non-visual, the non-physical interconnectivity between all living structures, all inanimate structures. There is an ongoing electrical relationship that's determined by the interplay of emotions and thoughts between different life forms. That's human and animal alike, as well as other organisms that are energetically impacted positively or negatively by the interactions of other creatures, such as humans on cattle or fish, or the interaction of lightning and thunder on a certain part of the planet. There is a certain interactivity that happens on a non-physical level, but is driven electrically by our emotional states. They're telling me that humanity is largely responsible for the existing shift in the Earth's magnetic poles. That this happens over this period of time, about 12,600 years, where we see the poles start to shift from their primary places to what they call a pole reversal. They said it's important to understand that this happens cyclically, not because it has to happen psychically, but because the emotional imbalance between what you call fear and love is what is driving the shifts in both weather and magnetic properties of the planet. And that in order for humanity to participate differently, rather than being a observer, they're saying, rather than being someone watching the show unfold, to become an active participant in changing what happens on the stage of this earth that you call your home. And while we would say to you that your physical being is not the full extent of who you truly are, you do have a relative process of learning that you need to do to understand and comprehend the potential that you utilize as your creative self-expression, whether it is in this physical dimension or in non-physical dimensions. It is crucial that you understand your creative potential and how you utilize that potential to manifest and manufacture change in both the physical and non-physical realities. What we deal with right now is from the perspective of your emotion and how it impacts what you call physical matter. We won't go into great detail this night, but suffice to say, what we will say to you is that emotional states that any individual partakes in is creating very visible effects in this physical dimension. The question you have in your mind so often, why is there war? Why is there poverty? Why is there one more favored than the other? Why do we have suffering? If you step back and look at the overall emotional state of humans in general, we would say to you, you would find your answer in that. The general state of humanity as a whole right now is more geared towards fear and uncertainty than it is towards love and possibilities. Our goal in working with this one and many others is to bring forth a rebalancing, a deliberate and intentional rebalancing of potentials, so that both love and fear live in balance with each other, because both serve their place, but each have different effects. And if one dominates more, it has a more dominant effect. Love is certainly more preferable to fear, but fear is necessary in order to maintain some semblance of growth or change in potential in terms of your individual expressions. So you may be faced with challenges in your life that induce fear or uncertainty, but it is your proving grounds to learn that moving into a state of love and grace, no matter what the appearance of circumstances seem to be, that you can affect change energetically in the immediacy of your experience, or what you call your experience. On a much broader scale, the Earth's magnetic poles are literally reversing because these two emotional states are so imbalanced right now. And we do not say you have to do another reset on this planet. You have the opportunity to come together in such a way, in such a degree, and in such a fashion, intentionally, that you can stimulate an actual shift in the magnetic flow of energy on this planet. And this magnetic flow, this electrical magnetic flow, works exactly the same as emotional energy. Emotional energy is electromagnetic in nature and in effect. It alters the structure of physical objects and their electrical potential depending upon the nature of the emotion interacting with it. So we say to you now, it is time to start consciously coming together and intentionally bringing enough of you into conscious co-creation in order to be able to effect deliberate change on this physical dimension, to give yourself evidence that you are the divine creator that you are, but not just as an individual, but as a collective simultaneously. To think that you have no control over what's happening in the weather, to think that you have no control over what's happening in the cosmos around you, would be to say that you are separate from all that is, and that is an impossibility. But we do know for a fact that you are capable of effecting change, both positive and negative, at all times, and are doing so whether you're aware of that fact or not. Our goal is to bring you back into an awareness of having the choice that you can choose to affect your weather differently by the way you're feeling. The emotional states in the places of this physical planet that are affected in a very adverse way will tend to have more and more of those adverse experiences occurring in greater frequency, because the emotional energy being generated in that locale is at such a state as to produce those effects. Emotion affects matter. Emotion affects your body. Emotion affects the electrical field of others around you. And the electrical fields and emotions of others around you affect you, depending on the nature and quality of your own emotional development and your own sense of self-control over these frequencies of energy that you call emotion. So tonight we say to you, it is time to initiate this conscious initiative to recognize that you and how you interact with all other things is determining the changes that you are currently experiencing on a global scale and on an intergalactic scale relative to the other planets of this solar system and beyond, although it's much more difficult to measure those effects beyond the confines of what your scientific instrumentation allows you to. We would say to you that the immediacy of this environment in which you find yourself would allow you to gain evidence that what we are saying to you is true. And so with that, we suggest that you begin to consider what your actions are doing in terms of what you eat, what you drink, how you think, what you say, what you do, and what are the emotional influences behind those, and that those emotional influences behind those and the effects of those emotional influences are what is causing the conditions you're seeing unfold around you at any point in time, whether that be your own personal situation or the whole planet as a whole. So we request that you consider being mindful of your emotional state, be willing to move from a state of fear to a state of love whenever you can observe the state of fear emerging. But also recognize the impact of your actions on other life forms on this planet. There are tens of millions of life forms that you use for your own personal gain and gratification. You induce pain and suffering in these beings and you expect no result. But the electromagnetic frequency of the overall planetary consciousness is affected much the same way as if you hear somebody yelling to somebody else in the room beside you, you might feel upset or frustrated or concerned about what's going on. Well, so too does the pain and suffering of millions of life forms affect the consciousness, the housing system, as you would put it. The electromagnetic field around this planet is affected according to the generalized emotional states that are being generated from the consciousness of individual humans and other life forms such as cows, chickens, birds, wild animals, forests. Every single living organism has an electrical field that you interact with, and it interacts with yours. You cannot escape the effects of your own causes. And so it becomes very important to consider and weigh what impact you wish to have in the long run upon this planet. For there is an effect that is unfolding. Your science is measuring it and observing it very clearly. There are many in your governments around the world that know very well that there are huge planetary changes that are coming as a result of the overall emotional qualities instilled in the general consciousness of civilizations around this planet. Yet, what they do not know and are unwilling to do in some cases is to make the necessary changes in the social economic structures that would facilitate a shift in consciousness from fear to love on a broad, grand scale, where literally tens of millions of humans start focusing more on love on a consistent basis, not for just one day or 1 week or 1 minute, but a consistent basis to move into a state of love and grace towards oneself and towards all others. And when we say all others, we mean other life forms. There are many things that you humans can do to alter the way you impact your environment. There are many of you that are learning different ways and strategies for being effectively supportive of your environment. But we say these initiatives must be accelerated and expanded and include and involve the human quotient. The human consciousness must be engaged in the overall process itself. Your entire educational system places no training, no emphasis on recognizing that each individual affects time, space, and matter with emotional energy that they indulge in. You must learn to withdraw from the consciousness of humanity those things that inject fear, guilt, shame, doubt, and uncertainty into the consciousness of humanity. You pull those effects out of the consciousness of humanity, you will pull those effects out of the electromagnetic effects of the planet. The relationship between this planet electromagnetically and that of what you call your sun is also a factor, for the sun is the mate, you might say, of this earth, and it feels the effects of the electromagnetic changes in, we will use the term her, in the consciousness of this female aspect of self, and that it, as any good husband would, is responding to her energy. And what you will see is a reset if there is no change. It's the same as when a parent has their child screaming in pain, and the parent does everything possible to help that child. No matter what, it will do whatever it can to alleviate the suffering of its child. Well, so too would a husband for a wife, or a wife for a husband. The principle of energy, the principle of love, dominates in all realms and ultimately wins out. Love will reset things. Consciousness cannot evolve in one state alone. It requires polarities in order for it to deliberately and intentionally move itself up. Our goal is to instill in human consciousness a very firm imprint that the vibration that you call love must be prevalent not only within the confines of the individual, but extended from within each individual to all other forms of life on this planet. It is possible to extend that love in such a way as to not cause suffering. You imprison many forms, you destroy many ecosystems without regard for the electromagnetic impact on your overall experience of life, but you will not escape those effects. But you can alter them before they become existent in your experience. You're already seeing around this world many phenomena of storm, many phenomena of movement of the planet, many phenomena of water disappearing that are all indicative of the deprivation that happens as a result of a fear-based expression of human consciousness. It is time to shift that, or not. You are under no obligation to change your experience from suffering to love, although we would recommend that one is more preferable than the other. But those of you who have become so adapted and accustomed to pain, you may not see this. But we say to you, if you had the opportunity to alleviate your pain, would you not take that opportunity? We present that to you now. And there are many on this planet in this initiative right now. Many on this planet in this initiative right now. The electromagnetic interplay, emotionally, energetically, from one life form to another, must be love-based in order for balance to be restored to the electromagnetic interplays of this planetary system that you call Earth. This in turn will have a domino effect upon other systems within this solar space that you live in. As you begin to move your awareness into a state of love and grace, you will find that the changes around you will be obvious. But the key is, when you are faced with behaviors and thoughts and actions that will compel you to act in a fearful way, or project that fear onto others, or fight others, if you resist that urge, if You resist the desire to fight with another and change that which is in yourself. Not worry about trying to change them, but change that which is within yourself and then demonstrate it. You will begin to affect people, even those who are unaware that you are doing this. For as we speak this message to you, some of you can feel the resonant frequencies that are coming through in this underlying tone that we speak through. There are more than just the words that you hear. There's vibrations that transcend that process. And of that you can become aware. Our goal today is merely to make you aware that there is now an initiative underway on this planet to reestablish love as the dominant electromagnetic, what word would you use? As the dominant electromagnetic principle in the experience of this humanity, of this earth. When you see how your energy is affecting your world, and you can see it is evidenced around you, whatever your world is around you at this moment, whether you're sitting in a room by yourself or at your place of employment or walking down the street, what you see around you, you are participating in. And your willingness to shift from that fear-based place, to withdraw your focus from those things which would instill fear in your mind and have you go to sleep with those fears or wake up with those fears, to remove anything from your senses that would instill those vibrations, would be a very wise move and give you clear evidence that your feeling state is of your own choosing and not some random event that's determined by external means and agencies, which it has unfortunately become the dominant means, which is why your current medical system is horribly overwhelmed in terms of dealing with people with conditions that you call mental health issues. But these are not mental health issues. These are issues of attachment to emotional energies that no longer serve the good of the individual, nor the good of this planet, nor the good of this culture that you call humanity. We thank you for taking the time to come and listen to this message. We encourage you to share this idea. We encourage you to consider whatever emotional state you choose to indulge yourself in. That is causing an effect, whether you see it or not, in the electrical interplay of the things around you. And that is all we have to say for now. Okay, but I'm going to show you something. It might not seem much to you because they've been talking to me like they say, because I always want proof. I want proof that what these guys are saying to me is just some gobbledygook. So I want to show you this orchid. Just give me 1 second here. This orchid that I'm going to show you, it doesn't look like much right now, but this orchid here was a week and a half ago, all the leaves were completely dead. It's got no soil, just got water. They told us to put it just in water. And then they told us to give this orchid love, and the leaves were literally like limp rubber. And my partner wanted to throw it out. And they said, no, don't. Just start loving it, give it love and talk to it and appreciate the life and the consciousness in here. Well, a funny thing happened. All of a sudden, we started this process about 12 days ago, and 4 days after we started this process of giving our love and appreciation to this plant, you can see, I don't know if you can see it, but you can see this brand new leaf just started coming up about 5 days ago. And then all of these little new flower shoots have started coming up. And yet this thing was what most people would classify it as dead, but it's not. And this gave me clear evidence that we alter and change the life in other things based on what we put towards it. And I can't imagine, I eat a little bit of fish, but I don't eat a lot of meat, but I can't imagine what we put the other animals through on this planet. I've seen videos and stuff, and it's not a pretty sight. But we interact with life in such a way that we are killing more than we are healing, and it's time to reverse that process. Electromagnetically, it's affecting everything around us. It's affecting the poles on the planet. They are electromagnetic in nature, and so are we. Every human being, every living form has an electromagnetic frequency and a different potential of frequency. The plant, this plant receives my energy. As I extend my love to it, it receives it because it doesn't have the same capacity to independently express like we do. You radiate frequencies to people around you. And if you're radiating fear, or but isn't that amazing? Just like that brand new leaf coming up out of nowhere. And this thing was all but what some would classify as dead. And that only took like 10, 12 days. And I challenge you to get something where you can do that with it, where you can actually love a dying plant and listen to your intuition, find out what it needs and give it what it needs and watch what happens. This planet is struggling right now. It has needs that aren't being met by us. There are life forms on this planet. Elephants, rhinoceros, you name a life form on this planet that's not being taxed and challenged by the way we conduct ourselves in relationship to it. Not only that, but our own species, our own brothers and sisters all over this planet that we have an electrical interplay with that's negative. Look at that bum on the street, or look at that terrible politician, or and we're generating electromagnetic fields that do not serve the overall collective good of consciousness, of love, of light on this planet. So I encourage you to share this video. I encourage you to subscribe to my channel and get other people involved in recognizing that what we feel affects our forms. I know that there are beings on other dimensions that are available to all of us, that if you stop and listen and ask for guidance, they'll talk to you. They'll give you information, intuitions, inclinations. We are not alone. Humanity is not alone in the process of learning to evolve itself beyond its own limitations. Otherwise, we never could have changed anything. We would have remained in the Stone Age if we were left alone to our own devices. But there are other levels of consciousness interacting with us, much the same way as I interacted with this plant, and its consciousness has evolved. You know, it's still a plant, but that leaf is like razor sharp now and strong. So we have that interaction and interrelationship with other life forms on this planet that are affected by us. So please consider this initiative. One of our goals is to assemble 1 billion people together who are willing on a daily basis to spend 15-20 minutes in a state of love or grace, to literally start their day off from a place of love and grace, and to be willing to try and do that all day long. There's now instrumentations that will measure the electromagnetic behavior on the planet. They can now measure the upflow of gamma rays and cosmic radiation and photons and protons and neutrons coming to the planet, and how they interact and affect our weather, how the electromagnetic field around the planet is working. Like, there's just so much scientific instrumentation now that can validate and prove that we can actually affect the overall electromagnetic consciousness of the planet just by being our best selves. And that's my message to you. Let's be our best selves. And not just for ourselves, but be our best selves for everybody else. And I want to thank you for taking the time to getting to the end of this with me. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel, share this. We are at an amazing point in human potential right now, where we can demonstrate that we can affect far more than just ourselves and the life forms on this planet, which we are, but we can affect entire solar systems, entire galaxies. There's a potential in us that's great. Anyway, I don't want to get into too much of my own personal philosophy. I just want to communicate the message that I've been asked to communicate, and simultaneously engage you to get involved in what this initiative is. As a secondary note, I want you to know that I'm also a spiritual medium and a channel, and I run courses and classes on how to connect to your guides and angels, how to actually access higher knowledge, higher information, higher wisdom, to improve and enhance the quality of your mind and your body and the world around you. It's all interconnected. They're not separate things. And this course is starting, it's called Mediumship 102 Intermediate Level Course, and it starts next Sunday morning. You can go to my website, WilliamMichaelForbesCoaching.com. The course is only $150, and it's a 3-week course that you'll learn how to shift your focus, change the way you think, feel, and believe, how to release dark, negative energies from inside your emotional framework so that you actually get to create an emotional state of joy and expanded consciousness. And I encourage you to come and join us on this course. It's going to be an amazing 3 weeks. We've got a really awesome, high vibrational group of people in this program, and it'll be amazing. The time is now, humanity. We can't sit back and let things go on as they are. You know this. I know this. And we are so much more powerful than we've given ourselves credit for. And for all of those people that are singing depression and anxiety, those are not necessary. Those are emotional energies that you've been conditioned to hold on to, and it's time to learn how to let them go. You don't have to be clinging to your depression. You don't have to be clinging to fear. You're trying to get away from it. Learn how to let it go. Stop trying to push it away. Learn how to just let go. And we cover that for an entire week of the 3-week program, how to let go of old things in your system. Anyway, I didn't want to get into that too much of that. My primary goal here is to deliver a message for all of us to realize that we all influence and affect everything and everyone around us by how we feel at any point of time and space. Much love. Thank you for coming. Have a great night, or a great day, or a great afternoon, wherever you are.